Hey, Tops of Blue fam, coming at you from San Antonio, Texas. It's Libby. Yeah, Libby. Not Dave, but Libby. The reason why? Because this is a takeover podcast where I, yours truly, will be interviewing Dave Jackson, Pryor from 1993, who is also a Roger and a Wilco and a Judge's Choice Award winner. So just an all-around great guy, great Pryor. Many of you have crossed his path if you've come to Worldwide. He was a team lead there many years, and he is probably one of the most genuine Pryors I know. He's a great and personal friend, someone very dear to me. And so you get a chance to sit down and talk with him and let him tell his story. So hope you enjoy, and as much as I did, because, you know, there's no other like Dave Jackson. So, ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoy. On you. Hey, everybody, it's Libby, and I am doing the Takeover podcast where I'm going to be interviewing Dave Jackson. So instead of him asking the questions, I get to ask the questions and he's going to answer. So stay tuned. You're up for a wonderful episode. And here we go.
Oh, they wait with bated breath. They wait
Yes,
with bells on.
yes, they do.
Before you start this interview, Libby, if that's indeed your name, which it is not, by the way, so let's get rid of this elephant in the room right now. What is your real name? Because it certainly is not Libby, correct?
Well, first of all, who's interviewing who here?
I just want to clear the air of all these
Okay,
decades of mystery of
okay.
Elizabeth Castle becoming Libby. I just
Elizabeth,
want to solve
Elizabeth,
this.
Elizabeth is my real first name, but Libby is a derivative of Elizabeth, and it was given to me at birth. So it's not like somebody just started calling me Libby. So
At birth.
wonderful, beautiful, bouncing bundle of Elizabeth. Oh, we're gonna call her Libby.
Libby, oh,
You know.
look at the dimples on the Libby. So they
So
could have gone with Elizabeth, Beth, but they
mhm.
chose Libby,
It chose Libby. Yeah,
like
yeah.
from day one.
Have you ever met another Elizabeth that was called Libby?
No, they've always
They're
been
out there.
Beth. It's always been Beth.
Yeah, they're
I've
out
never
there.
met a Libby. Yeah. Wow.
So yeah.
All right. Well, I digress.
Okay, case solved. Mystery debunked,
All
right?
right.
All right, Dave. So I have special knowledge about, I know, was 93 your first tour?
93 was my first tour. Not my
Okay,
first worldwide, but my first tour.
okay. But because I remember I was at 93 Worldwide, so your tour was on stage while we were auditioning. So I remember I remember walking in and you guys performing that show, One Song, One Voice.
Mm-hmm.
It was like that big gift
Mm-hmm.
kind of opening up.
Yeah. The
So
little box. Yep.
yeah. So you say that wasn't your first worldwide.
Correct.
Is so you auditioned once, you auditioned more than once before
So
you got
I
selected.
was the 91 worldwide auditioning for the 92 tour.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And what did you think about that being your first worldwide experience?
Well, it was crazy because um, I said in the video, and we didn't have a base level talent show. They asked me to send in a video. Well, the base recreation center, asked me to send in a video because I was performing with a band on bass, a volunteer band, and they had me. Claudia Nimrichter, who was the director, said, "Oh, Dave, you should try for Tops and Blue." And I said, "Well, I already have for many years, but this is a good year to try again." So I sent in a video right straight to San Antonio, and next thing you know, I got a call to come to Worldwide. And the interesting thing about that Worldwide is, so I was on the formerly the MAC team, the AMC team, and I was the only person on that team to win an award that year. I got the Judges Special Recognition Award,
Nice.
which is weird because I don't know when Tom stopped that. And do you know what the Special Recognition Award is? What happens?
Well, I think
What's your
because I
theories?
remember, I think our year was the last year we had. They used to bring in um, like celebrity judges,
Hmm.
whatever the
Hmm.
celebrity was. I mean, I think we
Hmm.
had a couple of people who were kind of in the industry that was there. Do you remember who your judges were?
In '91, we had Barry White. The finalist judges were Barry White, the chick from Gilligan's Island,
Yep.
Marianne,
Yep.
and the chick from Knight Rider, whose name totally escapes me.
Yeah.
Um,
So I know the judges award was because I don't think we had a judges award. They may have stopped that
yeah,
after.
I don't know. I don't know if like five judges sat in a room and like two judges said, I want that bass player to be in finals. The other three judges said, no, let's not have the bass player in finals. And the two other judges said, screw you, hippie. I want that bass player in finals. And if you don't let it do it, we're going to give him a side award. I don't know what the criteria was. If it was
Yeah.
a one judge thing or a multi-judge thing, or I don't know. But at some point, I'm going to ask Tom to find
Yeah,
out.
that'd be a good question to ask.
Because
Be
I
a
don't
very
know.
good question.
But like everybody's first worldwide. It was overwhelming. It was crazy. Uh, and both my worldwides, I never interviewed with Tom. Never happened. Yeah. Uh, and I remember, was it Tyndall or was it at one of the bases in Florida? And all I remember was there was so many places we had to be, and the base was so big, and I was constantly worried about being late for an appointment. Am I going to make it to here in time? Am I going to make it there in time?
Yeah.
Do I bring a base? Do I not bring my base? I mean, there was just so much going on, and the base was so big, it was just overwhelming. I don't remember any of my interviews at the 91 Worldwide. I do at the 92 Worldwide, but the 91 was interesting because uh, I knew a lot of the people that made tour from previous bases that I was stationed at that I did talent shows with like in the mid 80s.
Hmm.
Um, so it was kind of cool to see those people again. But I don't have other than the table when I was sitting with the Mac or AMC people, whatever we were back then. Nobody on our table got an award, and nobody got. I don't think anybody got on our table got called for blue either. Later, some people got plucked out, but not at that time. When I got the Judge's Special Recognition Award, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Sitting
So
up.
is that what that is?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Hold that
So
thought. Hold that thought.
holding. Go grab it. There you go.
I know there's a glare there.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep. I see it. Judges Special Recognition Award.
Yeah. My Roger's crooked. Yeah. So I don't know if I was the last year to get that or what, but weird.
Yeah.
Very
Maybe
weird.
yeah, I'm not sure if ours had it. I don't remember. It's almost like there's so much stuff that happens and something's got to fall away, especially
Yeah.
when it's been 30 plus years since the happenings.
Yeah, it's weird that we only remember certain aspects of certain things, but if somebody was to like all of a sudden say, David, do you remember blah 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 in the room during a rehearsal? All of a sudden it'd snap right back again.
Yeah. Yeah. So 91 worldwide, final banquets there, or the worldwide, and you didn't get selected. What's going through your mind at that point in time?
I immediately, and this goes back through all my talent shows, I immediately went back to lodging and pulled my bass out and started writing again. I always prepared. I had the weirdest, my goal was to make Tops and Blues so bad. I had put that on such a pedestal that even in like 88, 89, at the command level shows in Europe, as soon as I didn't make anything, I was right back to lodging. And I pulled my bass out of the case and I just started writing again.
Mm-hmm.
I just, what did I do wrong with this song? Should I pick a better tune? What do I got to do for it? Because I interviewed with Bernie Roan over in Europe, and all my musical stuff was with Bernie in Europe. So I had to get past Bernie Roan. So my trick was How do I get past Brady Run? Which never happened. And so I just kept shedding. Every year was a shed for each next competition cycle. Every year. The only break I took was when I was in Castle Air Force Base from 84 to 87. I didn't do anything. No, I take it back. Yeah, 84 to 87. I didn't do anything. I didn't do any competition. 2 years in England, I did. I did in Spain. But and obviously I did in Delaware. But every year was, if I didn't make it, I would just shed for the next year. And there was time I wasn't even in any bands. I would just try to figure out what made the most sense to take on stage. So
Yeah.
till eventually I got there. That was truly my only musical goal, even to this day, was to make Blue.
Yeah.
Roger or the Woke will be damned. I wanted to get on tour because I saw my first show in England, and that was Jose Finn, Chief Finn's tour.
Yeah.
And that was the first show I saw in the Base Theater there. And I was like, that's what I want to do. So I just started doing that. So I just started shedding yearly.
Speaking of the Roger and Wilco over there, explain, was that at the 92 Worldwide? I mean,
Both of them, same night.
Okay.
Same night.
How did that come about? How can you win both a Roger and a Wilco?
So the Roger, in my mind, was complete luck. I left Dover for Scott Air Force Base when I was on the AMC team, and I was in the instrumental solo category. And then when we got to Scott Air Force Base for an interim stop to work our chops and figure out what we wanted to do before we got to Worldwide, they decided to put me, Priory, Donovan Francis, bass player together. They wanted to do a dual bass player thing. And so they asked us to put an act together with just two bass players. We're like, well, that's kind of unique. I like the idea. And he's a Priory. I mean, we got along great. I don't know where Donovan is. Donovan, if you're out there, man, please give me a holler. Just an amazing bass player. So they put us together. They said, go someplace and figure out what you want to do, but we want to put you two together. We think it'll be a great thing to take to Worldwide in the musical potpourri category.
Yep.
So I said, okay. So we went back and I offered to him, let's do the Linus and Lucy thing on bass. And he had seen it done with just one bass player because there's a way you can play both lines on the bass. And I was like, yeah, we can do that, but it looks kind of silver. Let's do separate lines, bounce back on forth off each other, blah, blah, blah. And we did it, and they liked it, but I thought there was something, I guess, too linear about it. So I said, let's add one more player to this whole thing. So Eric Brandenburg, guitar player, country singer at the time, I said, why don't we do dueling banjos, but do dueling bass and add an acoustic guitar to it? And so we pitched it to our folks in Scott Air Force Base, and they said, we love it. So we put the act together. Street Duel was an act where I was a bum on a bench in a park, crappy outfit on, got a bass, and I'm just sitting there plunking around the bass. And Donovan Francis was dressed to the nines, had his bass case on his back, or his bass on his back. He's walking through the park, acting all stuffy, right? I'm sitting there going, I'm just plunking, trying to get his attention. And then I did the bass line from Pink Floyd's Money. Bum, ba-da-dum, bum, 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 bum. And he turns around, he notices me. And so it became a duel. Well, behind me, on the bench behind me, is an asleep cowboy with his acoustic guitar on the other side of the bushes. And as soon as we got to the part of the song where I went, ba-da-dun-dun-dun, all of a sudden he perks up out of the bushes and goes, oh, we're jamming now, huh? So it became a three-way dueling basses with a guitar, that whole song. And we made finals against Tracy Pratt, who did Little Mermaid in the full-blown mermaid outfit.
Oh, wow.
She had to be carried on stage with the stage folks on stage, carry her out. And We won. We won. We made it to finals against Tracy, and we beat her. And Don and Francis, Eric Brandenburg, who never made it on blue, but he's a co-Roger winner. Don was obviously a prior. And then the Wilco happened because I made finals for instrumental solo category. And that was probably the biggest thing for me other than making blue, because it was a piece that I wrote, made it to finals. There was five bass players total, including me, and at Worldwide that year. A crap ton of horn players, crap ton of guitar players. And I made finals with the great Zeph Smith, Chief Smith. Also prior, and I'm like, oh, I get to go up against Zeph. I don't even care if I win, lose, or draw. I'm just. Well, I went on finals night with Zeph, and he spanked me, and I mean it was really. I mean he played a song with the band. I cannot remember the song. I'm going to feel bad about that here in a little bit, but I played my original. I did none of my shows, none of my talent show work, whether it was a bass level or a command level, was ever with the band. With the exception of, I was in an instrumental group. The first talent show I ever won in England was an instrumental group in 1983. And we played Rush's 2112 and Temples of Syrinx, and we won.
Wow.
But everything from that point on, I did all completely self-accompanied, no band, just straight up bass solo, just me and the bass. So I won. Zeph took first place, and I got the Wilco.
That's crazy.
And I got selected for Tops and Blue that night. So a 3-banger.
Okay. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, bam. So explain that. Were you nervous? Were you not expecting to hear your name called?
I worked for it so hard in my mind, and I may not have worked for it hard enough, to be fair. I thought I had a chance, but with Donovan there, Zeph there, and plus you don't know what other hidden talents other contestants have. You know, somebody might be a great singer, but he might be a hell of a bass player as well. Mm-hmm. You just don't know what they're picking from. Having said that, there was a few things. I made it a point, no matter how I played, good or bad, I was going to make myself noticed. One was I made myself noticed by accident at Worldwide. Eric, Mr. Brandenburg and I went out for a bite to eat, and we went to a Pizza Hut off base. And we get to the Pizza Hut. This is so crazy. We get to the Pizza Hut, Libby, and the whole front of the Pizza Hut's on fire. All the bushes, all the shrubbery in front of the Pizza Hut's on fire. I mean, literally flames up the side of the wall of the Pizza Hut. We're like, there's nobody around. We're freaking out. So Eric and I run in, and him being way more athletic than me, leaps, tells a manager, call the fire department. He leaps over the counter, over the cash register, goes in the kitchen, finds a fire extinguisher, comes out, throws it to me. I go out there. I'm hosing down these bushes. He grabs another fire extinguisher, starts hosing down the bushes, and we get it all out before the fire department shows up. So, the manager gave us a nice free meal, which is awesome. And the fire department comes and said, "You guys did a great job. It's cleaned up, good to go." And she says, "You guys for the base?" And we said, "Yeah." So we're just your temporary dude. We didn't tell them what we were doing. And she goes, "Well, who can I call to let them know what you guys just did? Because I want to let people know on base what you guys just did." Said, "Tom Edwards." Here's his digits. So that got me kind of noticed a little bit. But that was kind of cool. But what I did was at the cattle call, at the dancing recital thingy, I wore all pink.
Oh, goodness.
I wore a pink sweatshirt, pink sweats, pink 1992 talent contest hat. It was all Tyndall, pink. So when we were out there for cattle call, I just wanted to make sure I could be seen. I don't care what I did, how I did, I just wanted to be seen. So I made sure I did that. And then one thing that I'm not really proud of, and I'm sure Chris Knox is not really proud of, but it all worked out anyways. He was the only interview I had. The only one-on-one interview I had was with Chris Knox for the instrumental audition. I didn't have anything with Tom. I didn't have anything On the comic side, I didn't do any of the impromptu stuff. It was just instrumental stuff. Libby, I didn't play a single note on that bass at that interview. I didn't even plug in. I don't think I took my bass out of the case at that musical interview, at that audition. Chris Knox, because him and I go way back to USAFE, because he took first place in 2 years in a row. I think it was 2 years in a row. I took second place 2 years in a row in USAFE. Never got called for their tour or Blue. But so Chris Knox and I went way back. We just yacked it up for an hour while the line built up behind us.
But the thing is he knew you're playing though. So,
but I didn't even read a chart. If I had to read a chart, because I was the least reader of the entire group, if I had to read a chart, I look like a smacked ass. So I don't know if he was saving me from that, or if I was saving myself from that, but we just chatted up all the times, and then I got called, so I got put up on stage.
So explain for those who, because you've mentioned it a couple of times, and it makes me really miss the days that the military, the Air Force, just with sports and all, these special programs that they have, talking about USAFE, these showcases that used to be within the command levels, that actually was kind of like a great feeder into to Thompson Blue program, because and a lot of times you would see people who knew each other who toured on the SAC showcase or whatever. So explain how that worked with the USAFE.
So USAFE was a huge one. When the USAFE kids came to Worldwide, they were loaded for bear. They had the best costumes. They'd already been on tour for 2 months. They had their shit down. Their songs were down. I mean, they were completely polished. SAC was the same way. So if you made it to command level, some of the commands had a showcase where it was like a mini Thompson Blue. You would just hit the Air Force bases in that command. And USAFE, Joanne Mellon's bunch, they had it down over there. They had Bernie during that point in time. Bernie worked for her. But you always knew if you were like some of the smaller commands, the ATCs and the stuff like that. Anytime USAFE came in, it's always funny too, because I remember at the banquet, everybody was jogging down points to see who got the command trophy. What was it called? The command trophy?
Yeah, command
People
trophy.
sitting there going, oh,
SAC
got one.
SAC and USAFE was always.
Oh, it was always the two. It was always the two. So everybody's checking off, who got what, oh, he won that, she won that, they're in this, they were SAC, they were TAC, they were USAFE, they were PACAF. But everybody was always fronting about USAFE every year. They had the best stuff, they had the most money, at least it seemed that way to me. I mean, even when I was over in USAFE, watched when the USAFE showcase came through Toro, and I was like, holy shit, these guys spared no expense. So they just had the right means and the right funds to, when they got their folks to Worldwide, man, they were good to go.
So it wasn't like a show, kind of like, it wasn't a show like, Thompson Blue was, but was it like how Thompson Blue initially started out, or was kind of just?
I think so. I think so. I can't say that for sure, but the USAFE, the showcases that I saw were all the individual acts. I don't recall any theme like Blue had.
Okay.
It was all the individual acts of those, whatever they did at the command level talent shows. That's how I think it was done.
Okay. Well, now that we took that little side.
Yeah, I know. I apologize.
Side venture.
Well, hang on. Before you get your next question, I have something for you here. Who do you think? So we know the voice of Roger was who?
Jim Walker.
Jim Walker. And I think, correct me wrong, I want to say one year J.C. Klein did it too, because Jim couldn't make it. So, anyways, I know Jim Walker's the main guy. Yes. Who do you think should be the voice of Wilco? If you were to pick a prior with a voice for the second place, who do you think it would be?
I would tell you,
If Wilco had to make an appearance, who would be the voice?
It would be Percy.
See, but see, why? I think you're leaning on feelings there more than.
No,
Why do
because
you
he
think?
kind of had that nasalier voice,
Okay.
and you had Mr. Walker had this big,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah. So you're
kind of
looking
a
for kind of a smaller, more constrained voice versus the big voice.
yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
it'd be like you're kind of matching the visual of the the size difference, but between that. So that's the first person that comes to my mind.
Oh, interesting.
What's your opinion?
I'd go with Walt.
Oh, you know,
I would go
yeah,
with Walt.
yeah.
And Walt
What
knows
would be
why.
good?
Walt knows why.
Yeah,
I think it would be. I think I just.
what
I
would
just
be a
got. I
good
just.
one?
Wilco has. He's had a bad break. He hasn't come out in the sun very much. I figured. Get Wilco out there. Just who would be the voice of Wilco? So.
Yeah,
All right. So you go with Percy. I'll go with Walt. We'll let the viewers decide.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead. You're
No,
gonna.
no, no. I think no, that's a good question because Wilco never had his time in the spotlight.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, so back at the final banquet
Oh yeah.
91. I'm sorry, 92 final banquet, right? 92
Mhm.
final banquet. You're sitting there,
Oh yeah. No idea.
they're calling through names
Yep.
and so just
Yeah.
kind of fill us in, give us a visual, take us there.
Yeah.
Dream
Yes.
sequence.
I remember. I remember Tom being so great at describing the act before he brought the people up. In other words, if it was, if somebody did a guitar solo, you know, whatever, Sweet Home Alabama, Tom would say, "Leave Alabama and come sing with us," that type of, come sing
Yeah,
with Thompson Blue, that type of thing. Well, I'm sitting there, and I think 95% of the cast was already up on the stage, but they hadn't got to the bass player because we're all doing not a bass player. At least I was not a bass player, not a bass. So it got to the point where I was just like, it's not going to happen. So I just started eating my food again. I started, I started stuffing Caesar salad down my throat, and all of a sudden, I get this hand on my back, bam on my back, and I'm like, but he hadn't said anything yet, and there was a really weird, and this might just be apocryphal in my mind, but it was this really weird moment where I'm like, why is it so silent all of a sudden? And then Tom says, "Stop dueling in the streets and come play with Thompson Blue, Dave Jackson, blah blah blah, Dover, whatever, AMC." And I had a mouthful of salad, so I leaned back. I remember leaning back in my chair, and all of a sudden the whole table just piled on top of me. That's all I remember. I don't remember walking up on stage. I don't remember being on stage at all. I remember the meeting after
yeah.
we tried to scare the hell out of everybody before they came to Texas in a few months. Um, I don't remember anything past that. I just remember I don't remember walking up. I don't remember shaking hands with anybody on stage. I don't remember shaking Tom's hand. I don't know if I did. I couldn't tell you. That would be a great video to find. If they have those videos. That would be a fun video to watch. I mean, hello. But um I just remember having a face full of food when they called my name. So I had to quickly swallow food as I was being tackled by my compatriots there on the team.
We know what happens when you eat salad.
What? What? What?
You
Do tell,
remember?
Libby.
Remember at staging, you said something that you were eating that salad and you had it had that big gob of ranch or whatever. It was a Subway, and
Oh,
it hit my
yes.
glasses.
Yes. Yes, I do.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
So
good
yeah, so
times.
somebody might have gotten clobbered with Caesar salad when I But make a team. But yeah,
Uh,
that was a crazy. I mean, I mean, to have three things happen the same night, a Roger, a Wilco, and that, the same 24-hour period, and making tour was just nuts, just nuts. But
it's
again,
definitely your night.
well, I think, I mean, all the years of just shedding, trying to make it, and trying to get chops up, and trying to understand it, and Claudia Nimrichter at Dover, who absolutely loved me. Well, she also loved Zeph Smith because Zeph was at Dover. And when I first got to Dover and she found out that I was trying to make Blue, she handed me all of Zeph Smith's tapes. Just I had tapes of Zeph and the 88 or 89 show, whatever it was. I think it's 88 of Zeph. She said, this is the guy, I want you to watch his stuff. And so I was pre-Zeph before I even got to Worldwide.
Yeah.
And then to compete against him, which made Claudia chuckle back at Dover. So it was a weird time. It was a weird time. Then there was, because I wasn't a small guy back then, Libby. I wasn't a small guy in 91 or 92 before I went on tour. I was pretty hefty. I was pretty portly, pretty chunky. And so I remember Tom saying to me, I don't remember if it was I think it was at that meeting. Yeah, you need to lose a few of that, Dave. You need to get stage ready. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll
Yeah,
make it happen.
he wasn't shy about
Yeah. Yeah.
making those types of comments, that's for
If
sure.
you didn't if you didn't immediately have the profile, you were gonna get told that.
Or had too much profile.
Or had too much profile. That's right. Or had too much profile.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, crazy time.
Oh man. So 90 and that was 92 was your last worldwide, right?
Yep.
Other than that, it's been because I know you toured more than 93,
Mm-hmm.
but so tell me how that came about. Those because I know you were a stage director for one.
No, tour director.
Tour director. Okay.
Yeah. So I told Tom, so this is 4 years after my tour, after the 93 tour. And I was kind of fiending to go back on the road again. I'd helped a bunch of times, and Tom knew I was interested in going back on the road, and I shouldn't have. 97 should have never happened for me. It was completely self-serving. It was a 40th anniversary. I'm sorry, 50th anniversary of the Air Force tour. Huge tour. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. And Dover was like, yeah, you're going to represent Dover there, because they called somebody up my chain of command directly to ask me if they could, if I could get released. I couldn't wait to go, but I shouldn't have gone because I left the family with a complete mess. We were building a house. I put all that on Blanche. I should have done it. I shouldn't have went, which is why I had to leave, because things were crapping out here at the house. So, got there for staging, and then at Florida, what's that small base in Florida, right?
Not Hurlburt Fit, Hurlburt.
Not Hurlburt. Other one. Seems like a lot of people bow out at that base. So I called home, and Blanche said we were losing the house because the contractors were getting paid by the main contractor. All kinds of stuff was going on. There was liens and lawsuits, and she couldn't handle anymore. So I told Tom, I said, I got to go home. I said, I apologize. And he offered to bring me back. And I said, let me find out what's going on at home, and then I'll give you a call within 48 hours, and we'll hash out from there. But there was no way. There was no way. We were losing the house, and I had to stay home. But the tour director job, God bless all you tour directors. God bless all you tour directors. That was really tough, really draining. If I'd finished the tour, I'd have been obviously very proud of that, because that was a great tour. The music in that tour was amazing. The stage set was amazing. We had that huge Barco, the huge screen. I mean, it was just amazing, an amazing tour. Very difficult tour to build. But I'm very proud of that tour. I'm very proud of that group. I just couldn't stay. I had to go. So I didn't finish the tour. And Ed Jones walked me to the airport, or drove me to the airport. I had to separate my bag, disappear in the middle of the night. Ed took me to the airport. So I got to finally experience that.
Yeah.
Stuff's over here, the stuff's over there.
Uh,
Ed did a great job trying to make it, palatable for me all the way to the airport. And we hugged it out, but yeah, it was and then the next day I understand a whole bunch of people quit. So I don't know what happened. They lost a lot of people the next day. I guess Tom had a speech on the bus about, okay, who else wants to go home now? That type of speech. I guess some people got bummed. I don't know if it was because of me or what was going on, but anyways, it was a great tour. They ended up doing a great job. They all got meritorious service medals, and yeah. So
and did you go out on the road on any other tours?
nope, just all worldwides from that point on.
You came down and worked a staging, right?
No, I never worked a staging.
You never worked a staging.
No.
Okay.
No, just all
So, when was your first worldwide that you came in as a team lead?
As a team lead, well, that took many years, Libby. I had to work my way up.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think I
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah.
I think I worked cleaning out trash cans and
Yeah.
copying paper
I was house
before.
mouse, and
Yeah.
I want to say probably it was in DC. I think it was the last one they did in DC, the last worldwide we had in DC. And actually Bernie came up to, yeah, it was, I don't remember if it was Bernie. I want to say it was Bernie or Jerry said, you're taking over for who was it? Who was the stage guy? No longer with us. Manly Man voice. Oh, I can't remember his name. Oh, they're gonna kill me. The Jennies of the world are gonna kill me. He was a services troop. He was a staging manager at your worldwide. The real deep Manly Man voice. Oh my lord, I can't remember his name.
No.
Anyways, I took over his job. I want to say Bernie told me I had his job. Maybe it was Jerry. And I was like, what? Contest rehearsal director? What? A few minutes ago, I was, trying to find a certain wrench. So yeah. So, but it kind of went back and forth. I did that a few times, and they had me do, I take that back. So I did that first. I did the rehearsal director first, then became the team lead. So I guess that was much later. So probably 10, maybe 11 years after I toured before I became, or they put me, with the instrumentalists. So not only that only happened a couple times. Then they put me back in the theater again, which I loved. Anything they wanted me to do, I was obviously happy to do.
Yeah.
But it was, like I said, you kind of work your way up, and you get the respect, and you had to earn it, and I mean, if there was
some people did, and that's fine. Everybody goes at their everybody has a different path to get where he wants to.
Yeah,
so
honestly, my path up through the worldwide thing was perfect. I mean, there was no way you could have put me in there immediately as a team lead or anything like that. There's no way. But I really enjoyed that job. It was a lot of fun. I've always enjoyed the worldwides. Always enjoyed the worldwides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you always want to give back, but you always get so much more. And it's like this, you keep wanting to give back because you feel like you just want to pay it forward, but you keep getting all this beautiful.
Well, it's a combo meal, right? You get to see your old friends again. You get to help people get through the system, try to help them understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. So, it's a little bit of everything. It's dinner with your pals. It's 3:00 in the morning trying to, tell a saxophone player that note sucked or whatever. I mean, and it's just a good combo platter for people like us.
Yeah. I don't know what I enjoyed more. I mean, those first few days of us getting together before the contestants actually got divvied up, I think are some of my favorites times. Just all the priors, all of us sitting.
Well, I mean,
sitting in the location.
it was a mini reunion.
It was
a reunion with work.
Yeah.
So yeah. Great times.
Good times indeed. So, what pearls of wisdom do you still carry with you today that you learned through any part of the process? You know, worldwides, stagings, your actual tour.
Um, Obviously, don't give up. I knew, you know, I've talked about this before. Um, I am not a musician per se. I didn't train. I didn't learn it. It wasn't high school. I wasn't in jazz, nothing like that. A bass player buddy of mine had a sister I wanted to meet and I wanted to learn. I had to get to their house. He had a bass. And I watched him play the show one time. I was like, well, the chicks really dig that bass player. That might be something to you know.
That's how it always starts.
Yeah. It wasn't like I was thinking, man, those frequencies are awesome. You know, that shit down there in that lower, no, it wasn't anything like that. It was completely self-serving, which,
Yeah.
you know, obviously led to some great stuff. But I, I wasn't a musician. I wasn't a trained musician. I put records and tapes in, try to learn the bass lines. If I couldn't, then I would try to figure out how to, you know, squirrel the music out of someplace to. I was just a hobbyist bass player that had one goal to try to make it to Blue. That was really my entire musical career. Nothing after Blue, with the exception of a couple bands in Saudi Arabia. Um, I've had zero interest in creating bands. I mean, I'll make music. I'll sit down and you know, ding with these things once in a while and make music. And you've heard some of my stuff, but it's
Mhm.
just I knew I wasn't going to be a professional musician. You know, I'm not a Daryl McKeechin. I knew I wasn't gonna travel that route. But what I will say is, if you have a specific goal, I don't care whether it's making Blue or trying to figure out the best way to make a quilt. Just stick to it till you get it done. Just stick to it to get it done, or it doesn't get done. One of the two things is gonna happen. Either you're gonna make it or you're not. Keep trying till you make it till you physically can't do it anymore. I just kept trying to figure a way to get the next levels of this. Every year was, what level can I get to next? What level can I get to next? What level can I get to next? So don't give up. That was my big thing. Second thing is have duct tape wherever you go. Can't,
No truer words have ever
kid,
been spoken.
kids, I can't stress this enough. Have duct tape wherever you go. And to this day, I can't stand the taste of duct tape. Um, I told Tom, I told Tom, and this is gonna get kind of somber for a second, but there's a reason I'm getting kind of somber here for a second. The day we lost our son, I called Tom Edwards, and I said, just so you know, I told him that AJ had died. I said, just so you know, one of the things my son picked up from me that I picked up from y'all was the sense of responsibility and making things right the first time around. And because AJ had this real had because of me, chords had to be a certain way, music had to be listened to a certain way. He had you know, when he started playing bass, he had to listen to certain parts of the song, forget about harmonies, listen to the bit. Everything that AJ had in his formative years was through me because of Tops and Blue. And I absolutely love that fact that all the things that I've learned and all the skill sets I learned from Blue got passed on to AJ. Not all of them, obviously, but a lot of the fundamental stuff got passed through, and that made me exceptionally proud. And I told Tom that, and I think Tom was a tough time with Blue, with the chain of command, um, in 2006, and he said, you know, Dave, I get a lot of bad news, but this really made my day. That, you know, your son had these little idiosyncrasies that came from you, which came from Blue, which was kind of cool. But it's just stay with it. Just stay with it till you get it done. Just stay with it till you get it done. That's probably the biggest thing. And I think the whole, as much as be true to yourself is, you know, kind of kitschy and whatnot, it's really kind of true. I only played solos that I really enjoyed. I only built songs that gave me, you know, the hair stood up on the back of my neck, or I thought that chord progression was just so cool and nobody was out. in the early days, Libby, and this isn't to tout my own horn, but I can say with almost absolute surety, I never saw a bass player at any of the talent shows I watched do chords or tapping or anything other than a real nice jazz piece from Weather Report or something really nice they played with the band. But in the late 80s, there was all kinds of bass players that were coming up through that were, just virtuosos in the bass that weren't standard bass playing things. And I said, that's what I want to kind of do to stick out from the Zeffs and the Donovans, even though Donovan played with drumsticks on his fingers. Who does that? I just want to be true to myself and just, if I thought it sounded right, and I can tell you right now, if I was to put that music in front of like Barry or Terry Griffey, that had torn it to shreds, in the theory world, it probably wouldn't have worked. It probably wouldn't have made sense, but to thine own ear be true, it was to me. And it got me through all these talent shows. Just trusting my own ear. Just trusting my own ear.
Break out on your own paths.
Yeah. And when I got to staging,
celebrate your individuality,
Yep. And that's what it was. I want to be different than the other bass player. Just perfect example. The guy was another bass player at Scott Air Force Base, and he had a machine gun wrist. But he was getting so carried away, and he played after me. He was getting so carried away. He did this thing where he hit a harmonic on his bass and he went to bend the neck. So he grabs the horn of the bass, grabs the head, and goes like this, just to do just a little bend, just a little bit. And the heel of the bass breaks off. And all of a sudden you hear this,
oh no,
through the sound system. And the two bolts in the back of his fender pulled out. He actually bent the neck out of its bolts. It was rock and roll. Totally rock and roll. But I mean,
and
he was so amped up. He was just so amped up. He just yeah. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Talk about leaving an impression.
Yeah, he left an impression. And when four strings all of a sudden grab onto the pickup on a guitar, it sounds like two elephants trying to do the hibbity dibbity in a swamp. It's just bad. It's just so bad. Horrible. Yeah.
Oh my.
Then I got to staging, and then, like I said, the hammer came down, and I had to learn how to read.
Yeah.
That was tough.
Are you talking about reading like
music, just charts,
chord charts, or
no? It wasn't even chord charts. Terry, there was I never saw a chord chart.
Okay.
It was straight up annotated.
Okay.
Frank
Wow.
Zappa. Everything looks like fly shit music to me. I mean, Terry would come in and walk up to the stage, the production center, throw charts and cassettes and the thing, says, I'll be back in 2 hours. And I'm looking at like a jazz piece. Oh, by the way, I never played jazz or country before I even got to staging. Never played a single one. My first country tune was Rocky Top. And the jazz music made me want to vomit because it was just so complex. And it was Terry's way. I only got a few times where Terry said, I like your bass line better. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do what was on the chart in the time period they wanted me to do it. So I had to listen, figure out something, an alternative, and whip it on Terry. Because me and Robert, the guitar player, we were the least two readers of the bunch. We had to find a way to keep up with the horn players and the keyboard players.
And you're the rhythm. You're the rhythm section. It's kind of exactly. Yeah.
And poor Robert, unfortunately, he didn't make it to the whole tour. When you're playing jazz, every freaking beat's a chord change for a guitar player.
Yeah.
It's remarkable to me how those guys do that stuff. To this day, I'm just shocked. And I had to, we get off at 2:00 in the morning and go back to the dorm. I had my Rockman and my cassette player and my bass. It was another hour and a half in the day room at the dorm. So I had to keep up with the other players. They could just sit there and just go. The JC,
and that's the thing. As a horn
Barnes,
player, you as soon as you get a horn stuck in your hand, you get sheet music that's next to it. I mean, that's how they grow up learning how to play the instrument. Guitar
Right.
players, drummers, and
Yep.
bass players, you can actually listen by ear and just
Yeah.
kind of,
You
you
can
know,
you can noodle something out that'll work. It might not be the exact
yeah,
thing that the artist had put down, but you'll find something that works.
yeah.
But I had to put extra time in at staging just to make it through staging. Yeah. So the moral of that story is, kids, if you want to do something like this, learn how to read music. If you plan to be a professional, learn how to read music. Bottom line, if you can read a book, that's learn how to read
At
music.
the very least, chord charts. I
At the very
mean,
least, chord charts. Yeah.
yeah,
Very
and
least
just
chord charts.
know your scale. You know, just
Yeah.
yeah.
Minimal stuff. But I was I was like, and then, not to get on my stories here, I get a chart and it was Vogue, Madonna's Vogue. I'm looking at this chart, I'm going, that's weight on the telephone pole. Does he mean this for a 6-string bass, a 5-string bass, or a keyboard bass? So we called
Uh,
Terry up at 2 o'clock in the morning and said, Terry, tell me about this chart. He goes, oh, that's right, you don't play piano, do you? You know? All right. He says, get Kevin. So I had to go Kevin Bourne. He's told Kevin right there on the conference call, you need to teach Dave these bass lines on the keyboard for Vogue and I'm Every Woman. And I think those were the two. So I had to dun 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 dun. So he put little things on the keyboard for me. And
wow.
Rick Hayden would make sure the keyboard was set up for me just right when those songs came up. He'd make sure everything was queued up right, all the right patches were on for me. It was great. It was great. I'm pretty proud of myself for playing keyboard.
Yeah, totally. Good deal. Well, oh, you know what? I was watching the interview you did with Derek.
Uh-huh.
And so my question is who was a mensch to you?
Oh, great question. Pre-tour or post-tour?
Both.
My sister, for sure, absolutely. And I would add my brother-in-law. Um, I looked up to them considerably. Post-tour, I could easily spread this out like butter over many people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would have to probably just from sheer advice and all my years to talent shows. I know this sounds like it's a given, but just some sheer advice, it would have to be Derek. Just some sheer advice. It would have to be Derek because every time he told me something, his advice was never wrong. Percy was that way too. All of you were, but Derek for sure was locked in with the heartbeat of any contestant that walked through that door.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Libby, he could look at a person and go, Derek could look at a person and go, no, that guy.
Oh yeah.
Just
Oh
by
yeah.
just by watching the eyes, watching the walk, how they handle themselves around the other people, around the other contestants, Derek was very good at pointing out, yeah, he's a great, blah 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 player, but I wouldn't take him on the bus, that type of thing.
Yeah, and Derek and I got to the point where because when I became a team lead, my first two worldwides was with Percy.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, and then after that, until the last one was with Derek, and Derek and I got to the point where it would be looking at someone and he would kind of turn his head down, he'd look at me and he would give me that look and he'd smile and I would know what he was saying,
Yeah.
so we could like just look at each other and communicate with our eyes.
Right.
And it was, we'd have Regina with us or Rob Carter with us or Josh so it was so wonderful to get uh, to meet priors that were after me.
Yeah,
You,
yeah, yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
Oh,
never would
absolutely.
have had a
Yep.
chance to meet and get to know some of the younger priors without these worldwides. But I agree, Derek just had this uncanny at this discernment about people.
Yep.
Um,
And at the granular level, at the granular, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it wasn't like a big picture vision. It was like, no, I know, I can tell. He can
Well,
tell.
not only that, not only to determine who would and who wouldn't be a good fit for the program, but if somebody was struggling, because I was like, uh, I was a very blunt person. I think for a
No,
while they would call me Simonette
no,
when American Idol first came out.
no.
But
I won't hear of this. I won't hear of this, Libby.
no, I was because I didn't. It was just that's the way I appreciate
Hmm.
the feedback to be given to me.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
pitter
Don't
patter around
sugarcoat
my
it.
feelings.
Yeah,
Just don't have
yeah,
time for that. Let's just do it.
yeah.
But Derek had this uncanny ability. If a contestant was struggling with something that wasn't that had nothing to do with their act or nothing to do that had something to do with something's going on at home or something, he would pull them aside and just to be able to have the conversation with them and just completely turn their outlook around so that they were more productive. And he would be able to just he would know something wasn't right on that
Right.
surface level. And so yeah, it was just uncanny
Yeah,
and a great gift.
yeah. He had a definite sixth sense for that type of thing, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I would definitely say, I would definitely probably say Derek for sure.
Yeah.
Just, just from advice and just watching him do his thing. I was like, holy crap, this guy's got this down. Yeah, yeah. And of course, Huey, dramatic pause. Huey, you know, buddy. Listen, Huey, you can try to take the instrumentalist band room away all you want, buddy. It's not going to happen. Okay. So just get over it, Huey. Love you.
Love Huey. Um I think the only thing I think we all struggled with finding that little corner where we could rehearse because
Yes.
it was just
Yeah.
one building and
Yeah.
and you had auditions going on. And so it was like, piranhas just going at,
Yep.
I need
Yep.
this corner. And then, thank goodness he actually kind of stepped into kind of doing the wardrobe thing. And that's his bailiwick.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what he's great at.
Yep.
He
Yep.
would just take all the contestants and stuff. So it was really, really good.
Yeah. I remember, I think it was probably the last World War we did. I said, Huey, I want you to pick out which one we should wear at the banquet. He goes,
Yeah.
oh, oh.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
he was awesome. Ah.
Yes. Every all
Yeah,
the
we
all
can
the
go down memory lane for days about those folks. We
oh
could.
yeah. We should probably
We'll do a team lead Tuesday on here.
I think that's a great idea. I
Team
think
lead
that's a
Tuesday.
great idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep.
Well, I
What's you
think
got for me? Hit me, Goose.
um I don't know. Is there anything else that you can think of? I think we've gone through your worldwide experiences and touring. Well, okay, you know what? There is something that very special about your tour. I did want to talk to you about this because I don't know if everybody remembers. And there was a wall that was next to the dance floor.
Hmm.
And on that wall were all these photos
Hmm.
of these, and it was when y'all were on your tour and you went to Eastern Europe,
Yeah.
and Thompson Blue had not done that before. So your tour was the first one to kind of go through those areas. So tell us a little bit about that.
Eastern Europe was amazing and scary at the same time. Um, there was places that had never seen live Western music before, and it was like the Beatles coming to America to a lot of these places. Let alone seeing live Western music, and we had a very between the females, between the gals on the tour. A lot of these folks in Western Europe had never seen a black performer before live.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was Bulgaria, and I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong about Bulgaria. We got told on our headphones, this is how I remember it. I'm sure somebody's going to have a different version of this. I remember we're almost to the last of that song. It was Heal the World, Michael Jackson's Heal the World. And they told us, listen, as soon as you guys get on the last note of the song, put your stuff down, jump off the back of the stage. We got to get you to a safe place, because the crowd kept pushing up to the stage. And it was the entire town square of this city was there. They actually bombed leaflets before we played there. There was going to be an American band playing there. But that was the type of thing. There was so many places that were just blown away that this American band was over there playing. So we were treated like rock stars over there. Then there was the famous national anthem issue, which is renowned throughout Thompson Blue history. At least it's not. It should be. Did you hear about that story?
No.
Oh,
Please tell us.
so we had a show in a soccer stadium. We had 2 shows there, I believe. And Derek, our sound engineer, had a CD with national anthems on it. And obviously, when you're in the host country, they play ours first and they play theirs last.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this was Poland. And it was an afternoon show. And I'm backstage. I got my bass on, I got my opening outfit on, and Roy's in the drum riser above me, and set's closed up. They play our national anthem. We got our hands on our hearts. Everything's going great. And then we take our hands off our heart. And there's the pause for the next national anthem. And here's dun 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 dun. And I'm like, I look up at Roy. I go, isn't that the Soviet Union national anthem? And mind you, they had been free from that for like a year and a half now.
Oops.
So I had heard, again, Tom or somebody come on and revisit the story. Other than almost an international incident, you could hear the air come out of that audience. I am convinced they thought we were Soviet troops, Russian troops dressed up as entertainers to be in their town, be in their city.
Oh no.
It was crazy. But what's really crazy is like this thing is like 4 measures into this anthem, and it was like a needle came off a record.
Yeah.
When the right anthem came on. But it took us a while to get their trust in the show.
Yeah.
I think Tom had to see somebody after to calm him down. There was some sort of diplomatic something that happened after that show. The night show went fine. But that's an example of the craziness of Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
And some of these places, the Albanias and the Romanias, it's like going back in time. It's like going to Cuba. Everything's old. It was like going back in time. It was so weird. I don't remember if it was Romania or Albania. One of the Anias had just now had street lights. They didn't know how to use them yet. So people were still drawing up on the sidewalks.
Wow.
It's crazy. But it was very exciting, very tiring. We did a pre-staging in Germany. I think it was Stuttgart. We did some pre-training. The band played in a car garage to figure out because you can't take the same humor and the same songs to Eastern Europe. So Antoine had to tweak his comedy stuff between sets. We had to change some of the songs that made sets internationally. You're not going to play "God Bless the USA" in Albania.
Yeah.
But it was like the Beatles coming to America to a lot of these places. Some of the stuff was very westernized. Like I remember, what was the first country we went to? Maybe that was Poland. One of the first countries we went to, the hotel was beautiful, just amazing. But there was some places we were in the army barracks, wherever they could put us.
Yeah.
But they wanted to make sure we were very comfortable, and they were just so sweet to us. And some of our best shows were over there, and a couple of our worst shows were over there too. But yeah, it was a very unique time. And we didn't go to the desert. We didn't go to Cuba. I know you guys did.
We were the first, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so we didn't get to see any of the desert stuff, but we got to go to Eastern Europe. So every place
Yeah,
but
I look
Russia.
at some of the photos and I'm, like sitting there envious of y'all going to those areas,
Yeah,
especially just at the time in history that it
yeah,
was
yeah,
too. It's not like I don't think it would be like going today,
yeah.
It's very,
Oh
very
yeah,
different time.
yeah. It
So
was completely. It felt a lot of those places, with a few exceptions, a lot of those places felt very just barely out of the Soviet Union's grip when we were
yeah,
there, just barely. But yeah, it was a very unique opportunity. That's probably one of the highlights of our tour was that. Obviously Osan and Kunsan were, the Christmas gigs were important, but those shows were amazing. Amazing. Roy Mills got attacked, got headbutted. Boom! Somebody asked for his time. Hey, did you have the time? They wanted to take his wallet or his watch, and when he looked down, I think him and Rick Hayden were taking a walk, and the kid went bam, but just butted Roy on the forehead and got him all bloody and tried to. I guess Roy chased him off or something. All kinds
that's
of
crazy,
stuff like that. So
crazy, crazy.
yeah, Eastern European tour was great. It was a great time.
Very cool, man. It's sad that the program's not around anymore, but hopefully,
Well,
we
as
keep
long
the
as there's somebody,
legacy
as long as
going.
there's somebody out there, the Air Force bands, as long as somebody's out there doing it, somebody's, I mean, not the level that we did it at, but they've still got their music in the services. I mean, they still do, right? I'm not making this up.
They're fighting. They're it's people.
Does Jeff still keep in touch with those folks?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
all the
Good.
times. As a
Good.
matter of fact, he still tours with them
Oh,
too.
wow.
Yeah, because
Wow.
they're down a trumpet player. They'll pull him on the tour.
Well, that's exciting for him. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
All right. What else you got? What else you want to know? Talk to me.
I think that's it. I mean, we could sit here and talk all night
Yeah, we could. We could.
about some stuff, but yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything here I want to show you. Oh, hang on. Hang on. Allow me.
Okay.
This goes to my point of never give up. Years of talent shows to finally make it to blue.
Okay.
USAFE trophy. Helenicon, Greece, regionals trophies. I mean, this whole man cave is 2/3 blue. I've got so many memories up here, with the exception of one. I got a picture of me interviewing Jeff Gordon. There you go. Not blue, but still. I mean, I've got all this stuff. Hang on. I don't know if you can read this. Hang on.
Stars.
Bar Search put spotlight on local talent. So when I got back from the 91 Worldwide, they put me in charge of a talent show, and I got to jam with just various guitar players. They did an article on it. And
How
yeah,
cool is that?
yeah, it's pretty cool. And this is one of my favorites. Hang on, let me get the glare here. Let's forget the glare. Hang on. You can't. Oh, there we go.
Okay. I
So
know that's you. Who's
in the middle, the old
Yep.
Rickenbacker bass. So that was at the 1983 Bass Level Talent Show. I know you can't see him very well. Bob Bluen, myself, Chris Young, and Melvin Byington on the drums. We did an original piece and won at bass level, got to command level, again, Joan Mellon's turf, and a gentleman that was to this day is an Elvis tribute artist, Doug Church. I think I've showed you some of his videos in the past. The Elvis guy, Doug Church.
Yep.
He was at the talent show, and we just had AJ. He was only literally months old, and she was in her and Blanche and AJ were in lodging. I was with them, and I was supposed to go to the theater that night to do a tech rehearsal with a band. Well, he comes in and says, "Dave, you don't need to go tonight. They don't need you. Everything's good." I'm like, "Oh, cool, night off." Never miss a rehearsal, kiddo. Completely bullshitted me. I did have to be there. So when I woke up the next morning, I walk out my door thinking to start the rehearsal day, and all my bandmates are there. Where the shit were you, Dave? What are you talking about? We had tech rehearsal last night. The band's we're not eligible anymore. What are you talking about? I was told I didn't have to show up. Doug, who told you that? Doug did. Who's Doug? So, moral of that story is, kids, always go to the rehearsals.
Wow.
It was a great song. The guitar player for that group completely wrote that song. He said, "I want a bass line for it. Let's take this. It was a great song." Couldn't even tell what the title is now. Don't remember the name of the title. It's the name of the song. But we got to a command level and got.
That's awful.
I didn't go up to rehearsal. I was shit canned. Bernie did the same thing. Bernie did the same thing to me at USAFE. Well, not at the same level. So at USAFE, one of my pieces, I asked the band. Well, I take it back. Were they doing this? Was that one of the ones? I said something to the band, and kind of a snide. I was a bit of a punk back then, Libby.
No.
Yeah, and so Bernie was sitting like 4 rows up in the theater, and I saw that black marker just go across my name as soon as I got mouthy with the band. I knew that it was over. Yeah, I knew.
Yeah, Bernie didn't play either.
Bernie didn't play. No filter, which was perfect for Bernie.
Okie dokie.
Okie dokie. Yep. 1 and a 2, and you know what to do, Bernie.
Yeah. My gosh.
Love the Bernie though. We had our times together. Had our
Yeah.
hard times and our bad times, and we also had our good times. So good man. His heart was in the right place.
That's the whole point of family. Is you take the good with the bad and you love them still.
Correct. All righty, kiddo.
Well, thanks for letting me do a takeover and
thank you.
Getting you to answer some of the questions.
Yeah.
It's been some things I didn't know about you, and we've known each other.
Yeah.
Long time.
Long time. And I don't remember you at your worldwide, which doesn't.
You don't?
Which doesn't shock me. I don't remember you at your world. I know. The only thing I remember about your worldwide was I worked my ass off in various areas, and I remember Sobus coming in to play bass at this moment, and there was another bass player that came in with a wang bar on his bass that struck me. Had a tremolo bar on his bass, and he was quite good at it, I might add. I was like, "Oh,
that's something different."
That's cool. I don't think that was Mark, though. I don't think it was Mark.
No, I don't think it was Mark.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let me tell you something. Mark Sobus is one of my favorite people on tour.
Oh, he's awesome. Mark's awesome.
You two actually kind of have the same sense of humor.
Yeah.
Mark is great.
Yeah.
There's so many photos on tour. He would do this thing where if he saw you taking a photo, he would be in the background going.
Yeah. He still does
just
that.
Some weird face.
He still does that. On Facebook, he still does that stuff. I admire his continuity.
He was photo bombing before photo bombing was cool.
Yeah. All right. We can wrap this up if you want to. It's fine.
Yeah.